So I just released my big video, Battle of Ninjago's Ghost Seasons, where I looked at both Season 5 of Ninjago and Season 3 Part 2 of Ninjago Dragons Rising in thorough detail. That video was so much fun. And now that it has been released and I've been able to kind of step back and look at it as a whole, I had a thought that I wanted to share with you all. Lloyd, being the flagship character of Ninjago, has had some amazing character development over the years. In my most recent video, I talked about his incredible arc in Season 5 despite having very little screen time. During most of Ninjago's run, they were able to give Lloyd absolutely fantastic arcs, even in circumstances that you wouldn't consider to be ideal, like in Season 5 where he just didn't have a lot of screen time. But I noticed a change in that during the last 5 or so years of Ninjago. Lloyd has had some incredible arcs, like his arc with his visions in Season 2 of Dragons Rising, but he has also had a slew of bad arcs, or non-existent character development that was just never really present in the first 10 seasons of the show. His character was just always done very consistently, and I noticed that there have been more cases of him being developed very poorly in the past 5 or so years, and especially in Season 3 Part 2 of Dragons Rising and Crystallize, which I'm going to talk about today. What sparked this realization for me was looking back on everything I talked about when I was discussing Lloyd and Aaron's character development in Dragons Rising Season 3 Part 2. I talked about how Lloyd learned a lesson in the season that really didn't make sense at all for him to learn, to let go of Aaron. This arc that he needs to let go just comes out of absolutely nowhere and makes zero sense to his character or the story that they're telling with him and Aaron. The writers seem to have lost the plot with Lloyd this season of Dragons Rising, and this is something that is repeating from recent seasons of Ninjago, particularly everybody's favorite, Crystallized. I think Crystallized truly kickstarted the era of bad Lloyd arcs. They just misunderstood Lloyd's character when it came to certain relationships like him and Harumi. And maybe that sounds presumptuous to say when I'm not a writer of the show, but when you look back at all the seasons of the show and really investigate Lloyd's character, you honestly question why they would make any of these choices for him in these later seasons. You start to think, why did they go so off base with him when they did his character so well for many, many years? I truly think Lloyd never got a truly bad arc until Crystallized. He got some mediocre ones for sure, but at least they all made sense for him as a character. Anyway, back to the point. In Crystallized, the writers made this strange decision to bring back Harumi, a villain in the show that ended up having a very messy relationship and extremely compelling dynamic with Lloyd. I think if done right, bringing back Harumi actually could have been really interesting, but they play it in the completely wrong way. They try to tie everything up with a neat little bow and erase every change Lloyd went through mentally and emotionally just to give their relationship a happy ending. Their relationship never needed to have a happy ending. I think they were on the right path of establishing that Lloyd still cared for Harumi, even after everything she had done to him. I think that makes total sense for him to still have some feelings for her. Lloyd is an extremely caring character, we know this. But we saw that in Hunted he had come to the decision that he and Harumi weren't ever going to be anything ever again, that he couldn't trust her, that he didn't trust her, and that he didn't even want to trust her. But for some reason in Crystallized, they decide that Lloyd just wants to be with her again, that he still has feelings for her, that he just wants to be able to trust her again, that he wants to know that she's on his side, that he thinks that she will be on his side, which, I don't know, just doesn't make a lot of sense. Maybe if they had actually acknowledged the scene in Hunted, that would have helped. In Prime Empire, we see that Lloyd is harboring feelings of guilt over not being able to save Harumi in Hunted. That makes sense. Of course he would feel that he, the Green Ninja, should have been able to save her. He should have been able to save this girl he had feelings for, who he was able to see that in the last few moments of her life that she had come to some sort of understanding of him finally. And that is a whole other thing. Harumi obviously had some sort of breakthrough in this moment in Hunted about how she had perceived Lloyd all of these years, but they completely ignore that in Crystallized. If they built on that, it could have been so interesting, and it might have brought some merit to Lloyd thinking that maybe he could trust her again and that maybe she would be on his side again. But they don't acknowledge that moment, and it just doesn't And it just doesn't make sense. They needed to acknowledge that moment to make anything that they tried to pull off and the rest of Crystallize make any sense, but they don't, and it just makes the whole arc so messy. Well, they portray all of these feelings well in the episode A Sinister Shadow, but Lloyd's development completely falls apart from there. The rest of the season builds upon the idea that Lloyd and Harumi are meant to end up together, and I'm sorry, but that is just absolutely the totally wrong way to go with this, not only for the plot, but for Lloyd's character. Lloyd has been wrestling with guilt and feelings of care for this girl despite how she's hurt him, but he shouldn't want to get back with her. He shouldn't have any interest in wanting to be with her ever again. The season should have built it up to have Lloyd ultimately learn to let go of her. Let go of these feelings of guilt that have been weighing down on him all these years since Hunted, and let go of this girl that has had a hold on his heart ever since he met her, who has been affecting the way he approaches every relationship he's had since then. If Lloyd was to learn the lesson of letting go, this would have been the relationship to do it with. Lloyd should have always learned this lesson when it came to Harumi. He should have always learned this lesson when it came to Crystallize. And if they never brought Harumi back in Crystallize, they still could have done this lesson and just had him learn it while dealing with her death. It makes no sense for him to learn to let go of Eren. He never showed any sign that he was holding on too tight to Eren or forcing him to do anything at all. There was also just never any build-up to him feeling that he was holding on too tight to Eren. If anything, there was more build-up to him realizing that he wasn't trying hard enough to keep Eren on the right path as a ninja. They applied the right lesson for Lloyd's character to the wrong relationship. I noted in my Eren video way back that Eren and Harumi are very similar characters, and I think they absolutely gave Eren the wrong type of development in Dragon's Rising Season 3. When comparing him to Harumi, I can come up with many different paths they could have taken Eren's character, and I just think it's so interesting how similar these characters are, and how they both have similar dynamics to Lloyd's character, and how they were both just done so dirty in the show. They have the perfect opportunity to tell this story with Lloyd of letting go, but they just do it with the wrong character. It should have been Harumi, and Eren, it should have been about Lloyd learning how to prioritize different things and how to just give the attention that Eren needed as his student, and just there's so many different good ideas. They just needed to be switched around, and then there are the bad ideas that they put into the seasons that I don't know, if they just switched it around, tweaked some things up, actually dug into the past of this character, they actually could have made Lloyd's arcs with both of these characters, Harumi and Eren, interesting. But they don't. They just take these lessons and skew them in a way that just does not make sense, and it just makes Lloyd's character feel not as cohesive. Anyway, that was what I realized. Lloyd's lesson of letting go of Eren should have been done in Crystallized, or even earlier than that, honestly. What I'm trying to say is that they're doing Lloyd really dirty in recent years because they don't seem to get the core of his character anymore. This is a character that is extremely loyal, caring, and feels the weight of the world on his shoulders every single day. This is a character that loves so deeply and feels so much. He tries so hard when it comes to teaching, but sometimes gets it wrong. Eren is a young kid that reminds Lloyd of himself. He even says this in Season 3 Part 2, which was something that they got right and that they should have expanded on much more. But he needs to learn how to guide him down the right path better. This is what they should have focused on in this season. Lloyd realizing that he needed to put more time and effort into helping Eren become the ninja that he is, because he's just saying these things like, Eren, you can be a great ninja, but he's not actually helping him get there. And they needed to focus on that, but instead they focus on him having to let go of Eren, which makes no sense. Anyway, I'm just ranting again. And Harumi is the first girl he ever loved, and someone who absolutely shattered his trust and made him question his entire worldview. She was this girl that he had such a strong trust in and attachment to, that when he found out she wasn't who she said she was, it just completely destroyed him, and he needed to learn how to let go of her. He didn't need to learn how to forgive her, because he does kind of learn how to forgive her in Hunted. In the scene where she dies, at least it's implied that he learned that she realized something about how she had been misperceiving Lloyd as a hero all these years. There was this unspoken understanding in that scene that they did so well that Lloyd and Harumi finally realized, Harumi realized Lloyd was actually just trying so hard to be the hero that everyone thinks he is, and Lloyd just realizing that Harumi came to some sort of realization and that maybe he didn't have to pretend that he hated her, right? Like, he just, what I'm trying to say is that he just needed to learn how to let go of her. But that was the realization I came to wow, looking back on my most recent video, which I really suggest you guys check out because I worked so hard on it and it was really fun to do, and I went so in detail on both of the seasons I talked about, season 5 Possession and Dragons Rising season 3 part 2. I went so in depth on it, and I really think if you're an Ninjago fan, you'll probably love that video, so please check it out and share it and like and comment and subscribe. And thank you so much for watching this video. Let me know what you think of Lloyd. Let me know if you thought that this was right for his character, which if you did, I don't know how you do, but I'm open to hearing everyone's opinion, so just let me know. And yeah, thanks for watching. Let's hope Lloyd gets better development going forward.